I'd like everyone to take the Bibles and let's turn over to Galatians 5. Galatians 5. We're going to be talking a little bit about Galatians 5 in verse 13 through 26 and a little bit into chapter 6 of Galatians. First of all, I want to read a verse out of Romans 8. Romans 8:28. It says, "And we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord, who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." In Galatians chapter 5, let me get over there. Beginning at verse 13, it says, "For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And those are contrary one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that you would do. But if you be led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, vigilance, emulating, wrath, strife, seduction, heresy, envying, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with their affections and lusts. If ye live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be delirious of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another." You know, when you read these verses and you look at these words and you look at the contrast between these two, you can easily recognize the works of the flesh and the works of the Spirit. If you don't know the definition of these words and you don't understand the difference between the two, I suggest that we learn what these words mean. Learn exactly what they mean on both sides, because that's what you're up against. When people come to you that are led by the flesh, this is what they are trying to do to you. I want to read a couple of verses in Romans 8. Romans 8, verse 6, starting at verse 6. It says, "For to be carnal-minded is death, but to be spiritual-minded is life and peace. because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can it be. So then, they that are after the flesh cannot please God. People with these characteristics over here. Let's go back and look at a couple of these words. A couple of these words in here that's mentioned in this envy, heresy, seduction. Heresy. That word right there. You know, I sit and I listen to people, and this book says it is perfect. It is the perfect will of God. It is the perfect will of God. And when somebody take a word and get it out of place and say it's okay, you know what? That's what heresy is. To say something is okay when God said it's this way. Jesus said, you shall know the truth. The truth will make you free. It will make you free. If somebody changed the truth, it will not make you free anymore. You are not free. You have been trapped again. That's what the devil did in the Garden of Eden. He changed one little simple word. One little simple word he changed. Now, all man, everywhere, is prone to sin. Vengeance, reveling, whatever. And from the beginning, when the Jewish people first became a nation, God gave them a bunch of rules. And he told them then, in Leviticus 19, verse 18, he said, "Ye shall not take vengeance, nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but ye shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord," is what he said. And in Deuteronomy 32 and 35, the Lord said, "Vengeance is mine. I will recompense." Let's go back to Galatians chapter 6. It says, beginning at verse 1, "Brethren, if any man be overtaken in a fault, ye who are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ. If a man thinketh himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them that are of the household of faith." I was lost, and I know I was, and my life was going downhill, and it was going downhill fast. And 20-something years ago, I decided that I was going to learn this book, and that was going to be my way of life. And I was going to live by this book. Now, I'm not perfect. I'll never say I'm perfect, because I make mistakes. I get mad, and I say and do things that I have no business doing. But it really makes me mad. It really makes me mad when people laugh at what God said and make a joke out of what God said. Because the gospel is God's power to save. Do we not care? We're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to help each other. Heaven is my goal. I want to see every one of you there. Everybody I want to see in heaven. So, and that's my motivation, because I know I've seen the other side. And I see it. I see it every day. People just go through, and people, the world, and if you got a carnal mind, you're just so selfish, so greedy, so. God sent his son to this evil world to die a horrible death for us. A horrible death for us. And that's the respect we show to God. We just greedy. And anyway, listen, I probably spoke too long already. We all know the plan of salvation. You hear the word, and you learn it, and you be baptized like God said. And when you do that, believe me, that is the beginning. You come into Christ as a babe. Study this book. Learn this book. And those words that I quoted in Galatians 5, you'll be able to recognize people for what they are. That's what Hebrews 4 and 12 says. You'll be able to discern even the thoughts of people. If you listen to them and you look at them, you will see what kind of person that is. You can't misunderstand what the Spirit, what the attributes of the Spirit is. Love, peace, joy, long-suffering. How can you misunderstand that with the rest of those words?